In this lesson, we are going to review measurement conversions. Now, this is not about memorization. There are some measurement conversions that you should know, and then there's some that you will need to use your reference guide for. Let's start with what you should know. First of all, you should know that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. You should also know that 1 yard is 3 feet, and because of that, you should be able to get another measurement conversion sort of memorized, which is that 1 yard is also equivalent to 36 inches. Okay, so these are the ones that you should know. And really all these are ratios. It's basically saying for every 1 foot, there are 12 inches. For every 1 yard, there are 3 feet, and for every 1 yard, there's also 36 inches. Now there are some that you don't need to memorize, but you should be able to access and use in a problem if needed. This grade 6 reference sheet should look familiar because you have it, and you will be given this on the state test as well. And this just gives you other ratios. So you can see that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters, 1 mile is 5,280 feet, and it keeps going on from there so that you are able to deal with these ones that you should be able to know using a reference sheet. So let's look at an example. The example here says, I purchased 5 pints of milk from the dairy. How many cups of milk do I have? So I notice that I have 5 pints. Let me just underline here, 5 pints. And I'm asking about how many cups. Now I'm going to put a box around cups because that's my unknown. So the relationship is between pints and cups. Now I don't know this as a fact in my head. Some people might, but I don't know it. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my reference guide. And so I'm looking for pints and cups, and I notice right over here is a pints and cups ratio. So I'm going to write down what I know first. I know that for every 1 pint, I have 2 cups. But I don't want 1 pint, I want 5 pints. And I'm trying to find my unknown, which I will use as a box. It all becomes about relationships again. For 1 to become a 5, I'm multiplying it by 5. And for 2, therefore I must do the same thing to the other side. So 2 cups times 5 cups, or in this case times 5, is going to give me 10 cups. So that's a nice, easy equivalent ratio. The next question says, I traveled 10,500 feet. How many miles have I traveled? This time I need a different conversion from my chart. So I'm going to look at what I have. I no longer need my pints to cups. What I have going on here is I know I've gone 10,000 feet, and it's asking me how many miles. So I'm looking for a feet to miles conversion. And again, I'm going to look over here to my chart, and I look and I look and I look, and I see one over here that says that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Again, I start with that. 1 mile, for every 1 mile, I can go 5,280 feet. But this time I know I have 10,500 feet, so that's going to go over here on my right-hand side, making my unknown on the left in terms of miles. Now this one is not as easy. I know there's a relationship between 5,280 and 10,500, but I don't know what it is. I know that if I go from here to here, it's getting larger, so it's going to be multiplied by something. But what is that something? This is where I'm going to use my fact family. So I'm actually in my calculator right now, just so that we know. I'm taking that 10,500 and I'm dividing it by 5,280. And I find out, I get this crazy Energizer Bunny, which is 1.9886364. All right, so that means I have to multiply the 5,280 by that number. I'm going to keep that number in my calculator and just plug in times 5,280. And let me just see here. And when I do it, I actually get that same answer that I just multiplied by, because whatever I do to the right-hand side, I have to do to the left. That means that I'm taking the 1 mile and multiplying it by that 1.9886364, and I get about 1.9886, which is telling me it's about, I don't know, it's really about 2 miles. Which makes sense, because if I were to double 5,280, I would get 10,560, which is very close to 10,500. So it's not exactly 2 miles, but it is very close. Let's look at one more problem. This one says, I find a piece of wood that is 250 inches. How many yards is the piece of wood? All right, in this case, again, I know that I have something that's 250 inches, and I'm asking about yards. So first of all, I'm thinking about the fact of, is there an inches to yard connection? And let's pretend for whatever reason you don't see one. You know that there's inches to feet and you know there's feet to yards, but you don't know this one. I'm going to take this in two steps. I know that basically when I'm thinking of measurement, that it really goes inches, then feet, and then yards. So this might be a two-stepper if I don't know how many inches are in a yard, okay? And you might know that, and that's okay, but let's pretend we don't. So I'm going to start with inches to feet. I know there's 12 inches for every 1 foot. Again, from the problem, I know I have 250 inches, but I don't know how many feet that is. Again, 12 times something is 250, but I don't know what it is off the top of my head. So on my calculator, I'm currently doing 250 divided by 12 to get the next fact family. And again, I'm getting an Energizer Bunny here. I'm getting 20.83333, and the 3 is a repeater. That means I have to do the same thing on the right-hand side, giving me 20.83 inches, okay? So, sorry, that was feet. So now I know how many feet it is, and I have to convert that to into yards. So I have to think about what I know about yards and feet. Well, I know there's 3 feet for every 1 yard. And now I know that that 250 inches is really 20.83 feet. So I put that on the left, and I'm going to find my right-hand side. Again, I need a relationship. So I do 20.83333 divided by 3, and I find out, I'm getting all Energizer Bunnies here, that I have a 6.944, and that keeps going on. So I would have to do the same thing over here. Luckily, I have a 1 involved, so it's telling me that it's about that, 6.944, and so I would probably say, it's about 7. It's about 7 yards. Okay, so we just want to show you that sometimes you might have to do 2 steps if you don't know, if you don't have a direct relationship between 2 of your measurements. So that's how you do it. You're either going to use some of the facts you have up in your head, or you're going to use your measurement conversion chart, but really what it's all about is all about proportional reasoning and equivalent ratios.